expect that some of you may be here in relation to the rain and water events that we had over the weekend. If there are questions or comments with respect to the report that you heard, or specifically with respect to circumstances as a result of this rain, please feel free to come up at this point in time and share those with us. So, any questions or comments with respect to items that are on our agenda or with respect to water over the weekend?
My name is John Bovard, and I live at 125 North Peck Avenue. A couple of comments regarding the water this weekend and the flooding. I just wanted to make sure that people were aware that this was not the first time that the residents had flooding. I personally have experienced it for the third time in the past 2 years, with little or no answers coming from the village. The first time I was told that I needed to rot out my line that connected my home to the main line, and that obviously did not solve my issues. So I think for most people, the frustration comes from a lack of response from the village. And also that it really, where I have a hard time understanding is if it's because of the backup in the sewers that I would have expected the entire village to be underwater. Whereas, best I can tell, there's probably a half dozen or so streets in the village that had experienced flooding. So the other point on that is that our flooding occurred after our streets were repaved. I don't know if there was a connection there or not, but there were 6 of my residents in our block that had experienced flooding over the past 2 years, and the homeowners that were affected have lived on the block from anywhere from 12 to 20 years and had not experienced that type of flooding in the past. So in my mind, there's a connection between the repaving. Something has happened over the past 3 years that's led to the flooding, and I would appreciate it if someone could look into that and not just assume that it has to do with overload on the sewer system. And then the last point on the overhead sewer solution, I would, that's something that I'm personally looking into, and was wondering if there would be some consideration to offering the residents a 50-50 program similar to the sidewalk program that's currently in place. And that's about all I have. Thank you.
I appreciate your comments, and I know the manager has now made note of your name and address, and also invite you to participate in the conversation with our Public Works Department on several of the issues that you raised. Thank you for being here.
Hi, my name is Cindy Brown. I live on the 700 block of Kensington, and I'd like to know what kind of control we have over these immediate, like the sewer all of a sudden seems to open up, and in a matter of 15 minutes, the water is essentially gone. And we hear conflicting stories like there's a resistor, or there might be a flap or a switch, or is it because the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District opens up a lock in Wilmette? And so what kind of control do we have over getting them to open up a lock when the water is in our basement? So that's my first question. And the second question is, why is it getting worse? Are you tracking water, and have we had more? Is it because it's more frequent, and it's more severe? So I'd like to know why.
I'm going to let the experts answer the question with respect to restrictors. I know that the only comment I would have in respect to the frequency is I know one of the articles I read over the weekend said that I think this was like the 3rd largest rainfall in the last decade, and the 2nd largest was in 2008. So we have had some incredible rainfalls in the last couple of years. Now, that's not a scientific study nor entirely responsive to your question. It's just something that I noted in my reading in the past. But I think with respect to restrictors and the like, Brian, Bob,
Yeah, let me start off, Ryan, and then if you could backfill with some details. And that is really what it comes down to is it's a system capacity issue, and it's an acute amount of rain for a short period of time, and the inability of the sewer system to handle all of that volume at that particular moment. We had a similar situation back in 1995 throughout the village, and at that time we held, in a similar fashion, a public information meeting about how our sewer system was configured and the interconnection with the deep tunnel and the like. What we did as a conscious effort from that point forward was the installation of restrictors. And the thought was there's two ways to handle it. One is to go ahead and let the system work as it's designed, and that is to accept the volume of water that we have on a combined sewer system basis, or to go ahead and install the restrictors. So at least this way, we maximize the capacity that's available for the combined sewers and allow relatively clean rainwater to accumulate in the street. Otherwise, it's consuming the capacity of the pipe, resulting in in basement backup. So we think that has helped. Now the issue has become is that you're seeing a lot more street flooding. Again, that goes back to the issue of the amount of rain that we get. So that's just a broad brush and a little bit of history as to the restrictors, and it goes back to the comment I made before about the balancing act, and that is, now that there's concerns with street flooding, some cases we're pulling out the restrictors, and others we're thinking about pulling them out because of the comments that we're receiving of on-street flooding. And with respect to the quick release of the water, I think that's just a function of the system catching up to itself, where the volume of rain can be pushed through not only our system but also through the deep tunnel system. And there's a couple of flow charts that work, wet weather flow, dry weather flow, and the like. And I'm getting into way too much detail for a public information meeting later on. But Ryan, if you could finish up, that'd be great.
Sure. Just simply put, we don't have controls on mainline sewers locally that we control the turn on. So to answer that question, and then just to add to what you said, I'm oversimplifying, but all the water is generally going to go down at the same level as it recedes, and that's why you're seeing it quickly go down in the last minute or however we describe it.
So how can I be informed more about that restrictor? You're going to put it, I don't have cable, so how do I find out about that?
Well, you mean when we will discuss this further, we're going to have another session where I'm sure Ryan's going to get up and explain to all of us in layman's terms how the sewer works and some of the thoughts that we have with respect to increasing capacity of the system, some of the plans that we're currently working on. That, I don't know that we have a scheduled date for. I'm going to suggest to you that we will put it on our website, and we'll also notify the papers. We'll make sure that notice of the meeting is circulated so that we can invite the community to participate.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you.